The Preface of Uncle Remus Returns. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Phil Chenevert. Uncle Remus Returns by Joel Chandler Harris. Preface. The stories included in this volume appeared during 1905 to 1906 in the Metropolitan Magazine. They are told by Uncle Remus, but the little boy who listens to them is the son of the little boy of the early volumes. He is visiting his grandmother, Miss Sally, on the plantation where his father grew up, and in his turn has become the devoted follower of the old darky. It was the intention of the author to continue this series and to gather the stories eventually into a fifth volume of Uncle Remus Tales, but his editorial duties on the Uncle Remus magazine absorbed most of the energy of his last 2 years, and the projected volume was not completed. It seems a pity that these delightful tales from the lips of the children's dear old friend, Uncle Remus, should lie forgotten between the pages of a magazine, so they have been brought together in company with some character sketches of the old man who recounted them. The brief but vivid and amusing glimpses of Uncle Remus's personality contained in the latter may serve as a slight but suggestive background for the tales themselves, and thus afford a touch of realism to the fantastic legends so dear to the hearts of primitive people. May the friends of Uncle Remus, old and young, find something of the familiar humor and charm in the stories thus presented, for they are indeed Uncle Remus's Farewell Tales. Julia Collier Harris, March 1918. End of Preface. Chapter 1 of Uncle Remus Returns. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Phil Chenevert. Uncle Remus Returns by Joel Chandler Harris. Brother Rabbit's Bear Hunt. The little boy had naturally a good deal of that simple faith that is one of the most beautiful characteristics of childhood, but his training had been to some extent along the lines marked out in certain periodicals that contain departments in which mothers are instructed how to deal with children, and in which sage advice is given by young men and young women under names not their own, as to the training of youngsters. Young as he was, the little boy had been denied pretty much all the romance that belongs to childhood. For him, the beautiful story of Santa Claus, with all the associations that belong thereto, had been shattered. The grandmother deplored it, and wept over it during the long watches of the night, but you know about these grandmothers with their antiquated ideas and their old-fashioned notions. The mother had been caught in the net laid for the ignorant by so-called scientists, and she regarded her own views, which were far from being her own, as of the utmost importance. The youngster yearned to believe the tales told by Uncle Remus, but his mother managed to keep the wings of his imagination clipped as close as those of a chicken that we desire to keep from flying over the garden fence. One thing about the stories that he failed to understand was the remarkable success of Brother Rabbit in keeping out of trouble. He was obliged to identify Uncle Remus's Brother Rabbit with the rabbits that he saw occasionally on the plantation, and they were not only weak, but seemed to be very stupid. They had neither claws nor tushes nor strength of limb. He asked his mother about it, and she gave him an explanation that he had no desire to hear. He asked his grandmother, and she laughingly referred him to Uncle Remus. "He can tell you about it much better than I can," she said. Thus it happened that the little boy was compelled to fall back on the most gifted fabulist that the plantation had ever known. He laid his puzzle before Uncle Remus one afternoon when the old negro had just finished his dinner,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?